Second floor, the stable field emitter.
Emitter? Forget about that. I'm here to find the core.
You must turn on the emitter. It will stabilize the environment. Without it, Union will completely collapse. Then the core won't matter. Turn it on. It will affect his power.
His power? You mean?
Take this. Use it to turn on the emitter.
All right, Brandon. I've been slowly streaming the first Evil Within.
Yeah.
But at Bethesda's recent preview day, I got to play a bit of Evil Within 2, and man, this game's come along. It's looking good.
Well, the franchise has come along. Yeah, they're making a lot of improvements. Now, did they say it was the same thing that they had at PAX?
No, I think this is new. This is the actual. This is the photographer guy.
Oh.
That was kind of teased in the trailers.
Oh, go on.
Appreciate the art. Yeah. First thing right off the bat, this was PC, so comparing it to the Xbox One version of the first game is, maybe not the most fair thing, but it feels like a huge step up visually. Like everything just feels a lot sharper and more detailed.
Well, to me, and I actually didn't get into this when we talked about our impressions from PAX, but the character interaction seems so much more believable. Mm-hmm. So much more in the bit that I played. Sebastian bumps into a guy who's trying to escape and knows he's in the simulation, but doesn't know how to get out, and just kind of has this like incorrect idea, which is like, I'm just gonna stay here in this room. And Sebastian's like, no, it's not gonna work. You need to help me. And it just seemed less like we're in a horror video game having a conversation, and more like, oh, I'm actually kind of getting into Sebastian's head here a little bit, and he's really expressing himself as like an actual person. And that to me seemed like a big step up. And I loved the first Evil Within. I was just, completely absorbed in the story the whole time, but it definitely felt a bit rigid on the characters. Especially like the other people that you met. And it was kind of creepy too, because they were kind of two-dimensional. And when you're in this horror simulation, you can kind of, look into that a little more than you should, maybe. That like, maybe they aren't real, or maybe I'm the only person having real thoughts in here and everything is a simulation. But it definitely feels like there's more people in this game.
The other thing that was actually throwing me off quite a bit is that they've completely redone the control scheme. The one that really took me a while to find out was the knife. Like it was before, it was just like the Y button to use the melee attacks, and with now it's just you just use the trigger, and like so if you're not holding up your gun with the left trigger, the trigger will be the knife instead. And then there was some other stuff like dashing and crouching used to be on the shoulder buttons, and those are on the analog sticks now, pressing on the analog sticks. And so it took me a little bit to adjust to some of those things. I don't know the full, because again, I haven't finished the first game and I haven't seen the demos that you saw, but I don't know the full context, but it seems like this photographer guy has Sebastian in the simulation somehow, and he's taunting him with like photos of his daughter. And so the first thing you do is you like walk up to this gate, and there's like a knife stabbed into a guy's head with like a photo of the daughter attached to it. And the very first thing you do is this crazy boss fight. And so it's like adjusted controls in a boss fight. But they did tell me to kind of like run around the arena, get a feel for like what's there, because the boss fight does make use of a lot of traps, like tripwires in the arena that you can make use of. There was a truck that had turned over and was leaking gas out onto the parking lot, and so you could get the boss into the gasoline and then shoot it to like light it up. But yeah, the boss is like super creepy. There's like a whole bunch of body parts just start rolling up down the street and like form into this mega thing with a bunch of faces. And
that's one of the biggest compliments that I've definitely got a sense of from Evil Within 2 that really works in the first game, is you can totally understand, you can know what threat is coming, and it's still just horrifying to look at. It's still just, there's so much going on inside that thing. So many faces all jumbled up with hair and limbs and
I definitely get like Silent Hill vibes out of these enemy designs for sure.
Yeah, a little bit of the Thing in there,
I took a little time to get used to that. One thing that they've changed too, which I think you might be able to turn off, enemies have like an awareness icon now. So there's like an open eye if they see you, and then like kind of a sort of closed, like moving eye if they're searching for you, and then like a closed eye if they don't know where you are.
Because,
So-
like, yeah, from the bit that I played, it seemed like in the first game, there's, like, deliberate stealth sections.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, there's a thing in this environment that maybe you can fight if you have ammo, but we're clearly telegraphing to you, you don't have to. So, like, try to stealth through here, save your resources. And seemed like kind of, I'm just curious how open the demo was that you played, because I, like, went into this village, and there were all sorts of different, you know, back alleys I could go into, and roads and sidewalks and, you know, little spaces in between the houses. And there were definite, like, little clumps of undead or monsters, whatever you would call them, that you could avoid entirely. That, like, okay, I can just decide not to go into that house and not even deal with that.
Right.
And then I won't have to deal with those bad guys. So it seems, yeah, opening it up a little bit more. And
Yeah, this demo wasn't as open. What I ended up, so I beat the boss outside of City Hall, and then maybe I could have gone through the front door. I'm just a dummy, and I started, you know, scavenging, trying to get whatever I could for resources, and I ended up finding a back way in, and there's some more normal enemies down in the basement. So I was like, okay, you know, like, see how this works. Kill a couple of these guys. The one. And maybe it was just like a weird in development kind of thing. The one thing that was like really odd to me is I had killed one enemy, and then the other one started rushing at me, and then all of a sudden he couldn't see me. Like he just started walking slowly away, like he had gone past his zone or something like that, which I thought was a bit odd. I didn't experience anything like that in the first game so far.
I wonder, yeah, if there's little tricks for you to hide or what that picks up on.
It didn't feel like a trick. It just felt like, yeah, like something just kind of like some switch got triggered the wrong way in that enemy's AI.
They're crazy, you know.
Yeah. Before I even get into that, before I did the boss fight, they actually have the new kind of safe zone.
Uh-huh.
So like rather than the hospital, you're actually in Sebastian's like office.
Yes.
So there's like a detective office. Like you walk around and you interact with things in there. They actually have a wheelchair where it's the same upgrade thing. So it just looks like a wheelchair when you walk up to it, but once you sit down, the chair from the last game comes out and like slaps onto your head and stuff. I also saw a little bit of the upgrade system. They've got, in addition to the green gel, they've got red gel. And so it looks like there's certain parts of the skill paths that you need red gel to like unlock to get past that part.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how that works. But yeah, all the skill trees and upgrade systems are like very different than the last one. The last one was just like a list of things, and like things are going to go up by this percentage or whatever. But this has a bunch of different branching trees for what you can do with gel. And then I think that I don't think you use gel for weapons anymore. Like you have like weapon parts.
Oh, okay.
That you use to modify those. So it's a much beefier upgrade system than before. But yeah, with that out of the way, once you get into City Hall, like this is where things start getting into creepy PT kind of vibes. Very like cool psychological stuff. Because this is the photographer's domain, and one of the first things you see like a cloaked box kind of floating in the air, like above the room, with a body and like blood splatter coming out of the body. Like apparently it's like a group of agents that you work with or something, but like his body is just kind of like in like this weird like loop. So like he's falling, but then he just pops back and keeps falling, and then blood keeps splattering out, and so like he's just been sort of caught there in time. Like that moment's been preserved in time.
Ugh.
And then you get up to this looks like a photography studio, and you see like there's like a still life, there's like a mannequin, and there's like a vase there. And then you look around and you can see actually like a completed photo, and then it's like, okay, it's like if you put the necklace and the roses into the vase, put necklace on the mannequin and roses in the vase, and then you go up to the camera, and then you actually have to adjust the focus, and then like once you snap the picture, the backdrop behind them actually turns into
Oh, cool.
a hallway. And then you start going through all of these very PT like hallways that It's like, okay, it just looks like a dead end. Then you turn around and
Yep.
you act with this thing, and then all of a sudden, pop, there's a door. Where'd the door come from?
Yep.
Okay, and
Which is, it sounds like that photography mechanic just fits the spooky vibes from that first game perfectly. There was a lot of that, you changing your perception and looking through certain things and lining things up to make exits and entrances appear.
And what you're trying to do is you're trying to reach this emitter and like shut it down. So I think that the emitter is the thing that's like keeping you in the simulation.
Okay.
Or at least has something to do with that. So you kind of work your way through all these hallways and you get there, and then there's a cutscene with the guy who I think his name is Stefano. I didn't write it down, I don't think. But he's the photographer.
Oh, okay.
And you have a little bit of dialogue with him, and then he introduces essentially his pet, and it's the thing we saw glimpses of in the trailer. It's the boss is called Obscura, and it's got like 3 legs and like this big camera coming out of its face. And so what's happening is that you've set the thing into like deactivate the emitter, but the boss will use its flash bulb and it will stop time. It will stop the countdown.
Ooh.
On the emitter. So you have to basically shoot out its light bulb to get the clock running again. And this is where things got a little awkward, because they started coming after me and they're saying, it's like, oh, you're out of time. It's like, oh, but you're at the boss. You only have like 60 seconds. Like, okay. And so they kept like going back and forth of whether they wanted to let me finish the demo or not. Because the next people were waiting to get in. And so I was trying to do the boss fight, but I was obviously distracted and trying to rush it. And then it started like disappearing on me, sort of like getting up on the ceiling and things. But in the end, I just, with them coming back and forth and checking on me, I was like, so you know what? I'm just going to get the shot of this thing killing me. And there we go.
Yeah,
that's
excellent. Excellent. Let's have a look.
But yeah, I am definitely feeling the creepy vibes of the game. Definitely love, all the stuff that they can do with altering your reality, because what's real and what's not real, and how these characters can manipulate it. And I get the sense that this is one of many characters who somehow have gotten access to this technology. I don't know exactly how it's all going to work, but it looks like we'll probably have different chapters going up against these guys.
I think if you're a fan of horror games, I think you can definitely get to this point, if you've been playing them for the past 10 or 20 years, to predict kind of where threats are coming from, what types of threats, how the game's getting ready to scare me. I get it. Or, I'm going down a hallway and maybe something's going to jump out, behind me. And what I loved about the Evil Within 1, and definitely seems apparent in 2, is that like you have no idea what's going to happen. The hallway in front of you could vanish and you're in the middle of a desert somewhere, or you're in the middle of a field and then all of a sudden you're in a backyard of some house and now you're stepping through a mirror to someplace else. And so I definitely got that vibe, and it sounds like that came through. And interesting, you played this whole other section of the game. We both played like a pretty considerable chunk. How long was the demo? Overall?
I think I played it for like 30 or 40 minutes.
Wow, yeah, me too. That's about as long as I played. So that's so cool that they're just like, at this point they just have like these significant chunks of the game to show it off.
Oh yeah, I mean it's less than a month away now.
Yeah.
So coming out on the 13th.
We would hope that Friday the 13th release date is so solid. They can't miss that. So are you in a rush to finish Evil Within 1 before 2 comes out, or?
The thing is it's going to be really hard to figure out that scheduling, because I'm going to be starting that Dark Souls stream soon, and it's like I'm going to have to do a lot of streams to get any progress on that. But it looks like, well, I'm very, very far into Evil Within. There's still quite a ways to go as well. So it's just like, how am I going to balance getting those streams? But, I definitely won't play Evil Within 2 until I finish the first one. So if I play it a little later, I play it a little later.
Hopefully I'll have time to play it at launch. I'm definitely excited. And you've gotten me even more excited. I'm now more excited, Blood. There's nothing I can do with it. Thanks a lot for this hype that I just have to sit here with for another month.
High-end horror games going,
Yeah.
What are these things?